Welcome along to the EXFL Tier 2 Season 9 Spanish Grand Prix. I am F1 Union, your main commentator for tonight, and today we are at round 8 out of 22 at Barcelona with 14 drivers. One or two more should be joining. But yeah, the 18-minute qualifying session is underway. We have an RB leaving the pit lane. There we go. And it is Josh Hewitt on the medium compound tyres, like he so often is at the start of qualifying. It's been a rough couple races for him on return in round 6 and 7. No points to his name yet. He's going to be the key here in the bid between Alpine and RB in the fight for the Constructors' battle. Only 4 points separates them, with Alpine currently in front. So far it's only been a 2v1 game, so Josh needs to make sure he makes his stand this time round at a track he has so often done well at in the past. He's had a pole around here. He's weaving. He knows what he's got to do tonight. His teammate, World Championship leader, Seb, on the podium every race apart from one. An unlucky time out in Imola 1 week later. Back on the podium in Canada. The first time we had rain all season. This time last week, of course, it was overcast in quali, and then it became a wet-infested track within minutes. So the first times counted. Don't know if it'll be the same this time round, or it might just stay how it is. But yeah, the two Alpines then drifting, getting some pretty good results lately, making his way further up the standings in a bid to help his teammate as well as himself. And speaking of his teammate Morgan, he is running late. So hopefully he'll be joining. Important for him to join as well. He got here one of his wins around here last season, and he has the confidence on the build-up to this Grand Prix that he believes he can take the win. So he's got to get in the session as soon as possible. Everyone is out on track. As soon as there we go, crosses the exit line. Everyone is on track to be doing laps. Laser Gamer then in the Ferrari, hoping to make it further than 3 laps this time. Carbro 2007, hoping to not get a lot of penalties and get more points. Frosty Life, it was technically his 100th Grand Prix last time out, but unfortunately he got disqualified due to a glitch off the line. So even though this is technically his 101st, hopefully we and himself treat it as his 100th Tier 2 Grand Prix as he passes the famous corner of Frosty Life on the grass. Frosty will hopefully, with 10 poles to his name, 12 poles to his name, hopefully be trying to go for one more. His last pole at the Dutch Grand Prix last season, as he is on his lap on the mediums, as he nearly ran into the Alpine there of drifting. But yeah, a couple corners left, passing the suspicious bump where it has actually happened to Frosty, unfortunately. I was going to mention that. The bump can catch some drivers out, as Frosty's decided to stay out and not go in the pit lane. Last game, there was a bump at the pit entry. Now there's a bump on the penultimate corner. Hopefully, that's the only time we see it happen today. As Seb, by 3/10, goes in front of his teammate. Same tyres. Carbro also on the mediums. Bluey as well. 3.3 off the pace on the softs. Frosty. Dave the Slave, new debutant for tonight. Reserving in the Haas. Jack's back. There's Morgan. So second race for Jack, as Laser Gamer goes third on the soft run. So yeah, second race for Jack. Promoted now full-time to the Mercedes. He was showing really good pace, actually. And it's a shame it was pretty much a one-shot last time out. But he still got third, only 12 thousandths off the front row. So don't discount Jack from being a new contender at the top. As soon as I say that, he's unfortunately made a mistake there and slid into the gravel. But he was keeping with drifting and Seb for the first few stages of the race last week. Unfortunately, penalties and wrong strategies did drop him down the order, but I'm sure he will find his way. Chaz F1 then, on the mediums as well, crossing the line, 18.8, may have made a mistake somewhere. He's won this Grand Prix before, and he has shown good pace as well the last couple of weeks in Imola in Canada. Chubster crosses the line, 16 odd seconds down. Again, I'm guessing they backed off. As crossing the line, Jack obviously went across the gravel, 3 seconds down. Oren, back-to-back race winner in Imola in Canada, taking the fight as he now moves into third in the standings, only 6 points trailing Morgan, who's now got in his Alpine kart. So a small nick by 2/10. That's come out of nowhere, but then again, that is on the softs compared to these guys on the mediums. But he's the first one into the 1-minute 12s, and it's nice to see Nick back at the top, back on the pace, as when he raced in Imola, he did unfortunately end up retiring due to about 18 or 21 seconds worth of penalties. So hopefully this time round he doesn't. Spain, I don't think he'll be as bad as the last two races in terms of warnings. So yeah, Oren looking good, in good form. Yeah, so both Haasers and both Alpines left. And Joshua Stephen making his first race of the season as a reserve in the Haas with Dave. We'll also be trying to look for a time on the board. So at the moment, yeah. That's the rundown as Frost... Oh, as Laser's gone off there. As there we go. Jack makes it an RB and Mercedes 1, 2, 3 and 4. A bit of traffic into turn 1. As I believe that Haas might be starting a lap of Dave into turn 1. All the traffic does manage to get out of the way about. But it's still going to be a bit of a hindrance and an eyesore. But yeah, Mercedes versus RB. And it's a bit there and back. Soft, medium, soft, medium, soft, medium, soft, medium. Soft, medium throughout the top 10 as their best time. So this order's definitely going to shake up by the end of the session. As Seb on his outlap on the softs, ready for his second run. Already with 3 poles to his name. We've only had 3 pole sitters so far this season. 3 go to Seb, 2 go to Morgan, 2 go to Oren. Will we get a 4th in round 8? As yeah, Small Nick, a few of them obviously complaining about the game, but and maybe about pace, but Nick's found the pace to find himself currently on provisional poles. Oren now goes P5 on the mediums. So that's still a pretty good representative time from Seb. But we're yet to see what Morgan can do on the soft compound tyres as he makes his way round the final sector with a few corners remaining. Bump doesn't affect it this time. That's what we hope for every single run. Round the final corner for the Alpine driver. DRS open. Crosses the line. A 12.3. That's what we've been waiting for from Morgan to put himself 6/10 clear. And now we have to wait for what the rest can do on their medium run. Josh found a 10th in the first. He's up by 4/10 in the middle. What about Seb? He's finishing the first sector now. Already found 3.5/10. This is going to be close as Oren makes an excursion onto the grass there. He's got the McLaren of Carbro currently on a lap, I believe. As we'll see what Josh can do around the final corner. Across the line then for the RB. It's P2, but just over 4/10 off. We'll see what Seb can do then. As the McLaren makes his way around the final few corners as well. Seb, 3.5/10, 6.5/10, but he's 8.5/10 off P1, so he needs to find 2 more tenths in the last sector. Taking a lot of curb on that inside. He's got a Williams in front of him. I believe Chaz starting his lap. So we'll see what Seb can do. It's Seb versus Morgan, like it was in round 1. Across the line for Seb, 9 thousandths. And of course, it was going to be close. And it's under 100th between Seb and Morgan. Obviously, we saw Oren back in Imola get pole by 1,000th in front of Seb. It's these fine margins that decide pole. And way down to maybe even 10th. As drifting splits the Mercedes. So after the first third of this session, it was RB versus Merc. In the second third of the session, it's RB versus Merc versus Alpine. Are the 6 drivers in the top 6. Carbro best of the rest at the moment. And yeah, Josh currently lacking 4/10 as he makes contact there with Bluey. Hopefully that's nothing. Which it luckily is. No grid penalties or anything, but that might get sent in. I don't know. As Noah says he's joining now. So hopefully that's 16 with just under 8 minutes remaining. So yeah, Morgan still with that time, just about holding on to pole. Seb back in, Josh third. So Seb has a rear gunner at the moment. Nick, heading through the first sector, has nearly found 2/10, so don't discount the Mercedes. Drifting currently in P5. Jack on an outlap, about to begin his lap. Carbro 7th, Oren 8th, Laser Gamer 9th on an outlap. Invalidated, but about to begin. Frosty Life has, I think, just begun a lap. Yep. Chubster into sector 1, nearly a 10th down on his time. And it's both Hassers and both Williams at the back at the moment as Chaz goes off there. Backed off enough to, I think, keep that valid. As he continues on with the lap, Dave right behind him. Swanwick, nearly 3/10 up now in the middle sector. So we'll see what he can do. He's got 6/10 to gain on Morgan, but this can certainly pop him ahead of Josh Hewitt. But he's going to need a mega final sector to challenge the top two. Across the line for Nick. He's only over a 10th off, which isn't too bad. But yeah, P3 for now. Drifting 66 thousandths up in the first sector. Little wobble there. DRS open as he finishes the second. In the slipstream of the Aston Martin of Oren in front of him on an outlap. As he's 85 thousandths up, so he's finding slight margins. But he'll need another 2/10 to gain another place as Oren in front of him, now behind him, struggles in the gravel there. And he comes into the pits instead. As Frosty now goes P5 with that lap. We'll see what Jack can do around the final corner. 12.3 is the time to beat. It's going to be in the 13s though, a 13.5, and he's a 10th down on his time as Dave goes P9 to set himself into the top 10 on debut. Mercedes gets out the way of Laser into turn 1, who's now dropped out of the top 10. Chubster in P12. And yeah, both Williams at the back still. Morgan, with for over 5 minutes to go, I believe, is on a lap. So we'll see what he can find. $16 thousandths down in the first sector, so there's still slight margins to find as he is weaving. So that is the lap done, I believe. 5/10 down now. Frosty heads in. 5 minutes remaining then in the session. It's Oren currently down in 10th. Still waiting for Noah to join as well. But yeah, as Josh leaves there for some reason. Right, Morgan heads back in. Seb begins his lap then. So riding on board with the RB driver. Clocking 200 mile an hour, 8th gear. Heavy braking into turn 1. You want to use a lot of the inside curb but not hit the yellow mini curbs. Flat all around turn 3. Keeping a tight line as you widen it up towards the brake boards. 45 thousandths up, hugging the inside curb, making the car go wider to get better exit and traction. Into turn 5. Pretty much the opposite of what he had to do at turn 4. Takes it very nicely. Ferrari in front of him. Hopefully shouldn't get in his way. But the gravel will be a bit of an eyesore as he makes his way through the left-right chicane. Flatters. Josh Hewitt sets an identical lap time to Morgan. Where was that? As Seb has now found 2/10, so he could snatch provisional pole away. But Josh Hewitt has arrived on the scene properly now. And it's literally separated by nothing. Seb, though, watch out for him. Round the final couple corners. It's his for the taking. And obviously Morgan will have one more shot. But Seb crosses the line. And it's provisional pole. And we're into the 1 minute 11s. For Seb. Nearly 4/10 as there's Noah. 4/10 nearly the gap between Morgan, who is actually a thousandth in front of Josh, even though it said plus minus. So that's the gap between second and third. Josh gave it all. And he might have enough time to head back in. But considering the RBs have done the same thing, they've done medium, soft, soft. Do they plan to save a set of softs? Because if so, that's their qualifying done. With 2 minutes 45 left on the clock, if they head out, that means they've got no new sets for the race. I still don't know the weather of the race either. Jack improved to be only within to get back within a second of pole time. Carbro crosses the line, invalidated. Dave's still in ninth. Both Williams out on track now. Chaz into turn one, I believe, is starting a lap. So we'll see what he can do. The rain right at the end of qualifying. That's why the RBs have set their time now, because the rain is here. And for the second week in a row, it's overcast to rain, but it's much later. So, Morgan now on his lap. He's finding the time, but is the rain going to affect him as he gets onto the grass nearly? You can still improve when the rain comes down a little bit, but as soon as there's a very fine margin when you cross over, and Morgan's got to finish this lap as soon as possible to not hit that crossover, sliding into the left-right. He's got to find a monstrous amount of time in these conditions. RB have played the early game. Nick's retired. He doesn't think he can improve, like I'm sure a few others will. Morgan's finding the time of over a 10th, but he still needs another couple. Morgan, who won here last season on strategy, and great pace as Chaz pops himself up into the top 5. Good luck from him. Morgan round the final corner. He's the only one who can challenge Seb now, and he goes off there and invalidates, crashes into the wall, and it's not enough for pole, but it will be the front row for Morgan. Seb, for the 4th time this season, is on pole as the rain pours down. Frosty, P6, with under a minute left. Dave still currently holding on to the top 10, but Oren is finding 3.5 tenths in the first sector. And as long as the rain doesn't ruin their laps too much, it shouldn't be that much of an issue. That's both RBs done. First and third. Great result for them. It's going off there in the background. I believe that's Morgan. So Frosty on a lap. Carbro right behind him. Oren up by 8 tenths to get himself potentially into the top 5. He's going to need to find a bit more time to knock Chaz down to 6. We'll see what he can do. Round the final corner. DRS open for Oren. Crosses the line. And it is P5 for last week and the week before's race winner. So P5 is what he can conjure. Big crash there across the line. That's the session done. The 3 pole sisters of this season, Seb, Morgan and Oren, the 3 drivers in the top 3 in the championship. 1st, 2nd and 5th. We'll see what Frosty's invalidated, so nothing he can do. Morgan's without a wing. Drifting. 11 thousandths up in the first sector. I think he's the only one besides, Laser's gone off there. So Drifting, the last one then on a lap. That is the grid. Noah in a car, but he will start 16th. Finding some time, though, is Drifting. And if he improved by that much, he would stay where he is, currently in 9th. So if he can find a bit more time, could pop himself 8th or 7th. At the very best, 6th. Round the final corner for the Alpine driver. Goes off there and invalidates, unfortunately. He does the exact same thing his teammate did. And it'll be 9th, unfortunately, for the Alpine driver. So RB, 4 points trailing Alpine. 1, 2, 3 and 9. And that is exactly what RB needed. So Seb, once again, gets pole position. And once again, Morgan lines up alongside him. But this time round, he has a rear gunner of Josh Hewitt. And as long as there are no VSCs for him to get drive-throughs, he will be right there in the thick of it. And you know the slipstream heading down to turn 1 can help a lot. And we know Seb hasn't exactly had the greatest of starts this season. So it's not done and dusted just yet for Morgan, as it is an overcast race. I'll ask what the weather is like. Apparently it's all cloudy. So it should stay like this for the rest of the race. Perfect, right. Alright, it'll just be an overcast race for 33 laps. The drivers tweaking their setup, changing their fuel loads, adding to their strategies. There are the ticking noises. We are ready to do battle in Barcelona. 16 drivers, 1 winner. And all that's left is for 5 LEDs to light our way forward. 5 lights on, ahead of the drivers. And away we go here in Barcelona. It's a decent start from Seb, but Morgan's going to be in his slipstream, hoping to gain. But the RB of Josh Hewitt swoops round the outside and makes it an RB 1-2 in Catalonia. Round the outside goes Nick as well to get in front of Morgan, who's under pressure from Chaz now, as it's an array of strategy between these 3 drivers. As going off there is Oren, slipping down the order, as it's Seb from Josh, from Morgan, getting back in front of Jack, who's hanging it round the outside. Chaz watching this unfold. Jack on the softs manages to get the momentum to get in front. Now Chaz down the inside of Morgan. No wonder he started on the hards and dropping down. It's 3 wide between the Mercedes, Williams and Alpine into the corner. And unfortunately, Jack has tumbled down the order because 3 wide into 1 doesn't go. It's a brilliant start for the 2 RBs. Nick up to 3rd. Chaz 4th, Morgan down to 5th. Laser Gamer, another brilliant start, has made up 6 places, 7 places as he gets in front of Morgan into P5. Frosty, Dave up 3 places on debut. Bluey and Noah also up 4 places from the back 8th row. But an awful start for drifting as well, down 5 places. Josh still not in for some reason. Oren have no idea what happened to him. As there are the tyre compounds for the grid. Wheel to wheel between Morgan and Laser. Morgan trying to gain the ground back. Laser brakes later and positions his car right in front of the Alpine, making him lose more time as it's already nearly 2 seconds between the Ferrari to the Williams driver. Laser going all defensive here and there, moving a bit too much. As there's a quite gaggle of cars behind all the way down to 10th as Bluey gets in front of Chubster, who is dropping down the order there. Don't know what happened to him. But yeah, RB formation 1 and 2, like we saw a lot of the time last season with the Alpha Tauris, with the same 2 drivers. But a lot of the time towards the end, it didn't exactly work. That's a send and a half from Carbro on Dave, who's now going to try a switchback, but can't get in front. Carbro, the ever opportunistic driver, gets in front. Now there's all sorts of kerfuffles between Jack and Frosty Life and Morgan, as Jack outbreaks himself, as Morgan may have broke a bit too early for his liking. Battles galore happening as Jack and Frosty battle it out. But with DRS now, Lucas is going to be under pressure from Morgan, the only hard runner in the top 11. Both Alpines, really, on the hards. As Josh looking to have great pace. And they might trade with his teammate heading down into turn 1. But he's going to back off. He's too far behind as Morgan is in front of Laser. And so is Jack as he's dropping down the order due to the DRS. Morgan is through. And Laser just trying to hold off there. Goes off a bit as Carbo gets in front of Jack. And Laser loses 2 places to Frosty and Morgan, who are now released, but it's a 3-second gap to the next car, as still battles between Carbro and Laser to the inside. Carbro forces Laser off into the gravel there. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a penalty. As Jack and Carbro again getting his elbows out as Dave watches this unfold. Really unfortunate for Laser, who's now in the fight with Chubster and drifting. Oren has it all to do then, as he was down in last after turn 3. So, RB versus RB, Nick versus Chaz, Morgan versus Frosty, and Jack, Carbro and Dave just trying to hang on. Bluey in the points, with Noah up in 11th, trying to hold off Oren. Drifting, trying to catch these lot with Laser Gamer and Chubster, and Josh still not in the session. Seb starts lap 4. It's been quite the chaotic first few laps, but a lot has happened. Now Morgan's going to come under a lot of pressure from Frosty Life, not even using his battery. But he's still gaining as Chaz gets in front of Nick, can't switch back, and there's no position changes with the 3 cars behind. Bluey, though, loses 2 spots. Oren versus Noah into turn 1 and 2. Oren leaves in the room. They're still going to go wheel to wheel through turn 3. And Noah has a bunch more battery, but Oren is using his to stay in front. And will Noah hang it around the outside? Yes, he'll try. Oren to the inside, places his car in front. Better momentum. Oren now back up into the points. As down the inside, Laser versus Drifting gets the move done. As Frosty loses a place to Jack. The more they battle, the more Morgan can get a second advantage, but he can't exactly gain due to being on 2 or 1 compound slow. As dropping down the order, Noah unfortunately loses it. 3-second gap the 2 RBs have to Chaz, who's fighting away with Nick. On the medium compound tyre, however. And luckily that bump hasn't affected anyone. Morgan 7/10 clear of Frosty with still a healthy amount of battery. Here comes Nick then. As looks like no swaps between Josh and Seb. Nick goes to the outside of Chaz. Will he break later? No, Chaz will. And defend his position. Again, no changes. All calming down a bit now. Noah gets in front of the ghosted car of Josh. Bluey versus Lasers. Bluey has to go off there to avoid the Ferrari, who now gets tagged here and there. And Laser now drops down to last place. It's good awareness from Bluey there. He nearly ran into him, but Laser now gets a penalty. And his race has gone from bad to worse after such a great start. Josh using just a bit more battery, maybe to just keep up with Seb's race pace, but it's looking good at the moment for RB. As Alpine, well, one's not even in the points at the moment, as Chubster gets in front of Bluey. Not a place you usually see an overtake, but if you have enough momentum and power, as going off there is Noah. You can do anything, and there's a safety car, unfortunately, because of that excursion, which comes out right in front of the leaders. Or is Seb going to out? No, he's nowhere near in a position to outdrag. Yeah, so pit stop time, and considering the safety car has picked up the leader now, if these lot are pitting, Morgan especially, if he can get out of the pit lane and catch these guys if they have to pit, it's unfortunate he's on the hards and he's only gone 6 laps. So if any of these guys go on hards like Carbro has, and Jack, who is the lead hard runner now of this new pit stop train, this has just changed a lot of things depending on the timing of when the top guys were to where the safety car was. And this has just thrown a 180 in the mix. Noah, the sister team in the Red Bull to the RB, has maybe just thrown it in jeopardy. It's that impact of losing the whole front wing causes the safety car. And he's just gone off in the background there. He may have lost it or something. But yeah. Top 5. Look at that. Dave's in 5th now. Bluey, 7th. Josh, 8th. Yeah, Morgan, the first pit stopper, is going to catch the train. Already done a pit stop. So if these guys decide to pit, they're going to come out behind Morgan. So what seemed all doom and gloom at the start, with hints of promise later on, it's come much earlier than expected for the Alpine. But it will probably be a 2-stop for the Alpine anyway. Whereas these lot can still put the hards on and maybe go the whole way. So I wouldn't say it's the best thing to happen for Morgan. The 6 behind him on hards, though, that might be something. As they all have to slow down there. So into the pits, Chaz and Nick. Nick trying to overtake Chaz there. And he's done it. Fair play. As also into the pit lane, Bluey. So the RBs decided to stay out then, along with Dave and Drifting. And Josh. But Josh is obviously not in his car. Give me a sec. Let me message him. Right then, so in terms of penalties, only Laser has one. In terms of stop, the top 5 haven't stopped. Everyone else has. In terms of tyres, Chaz went on the mediums. Medium. Okay. So, so he might go softs at the end potentially, maybe even hards. Chaz asking, is that allowed as the safety car is in this lap then? So yeah, Chaz being overtaken by Nick there in the pit lane. So he's got the position. But yeah, safety car in already on lap 7. So the two RBs will bunch them up. Dave on his debut, currently in 3rd, drifting, staying out in a Haas sandwich. And they're just going to have to hope that AI of Josh gets underway. Morgan's creating a bit of a gap, which actually might be a good thing. So he gains up to the line. But Seb is waiting to go. Now he's gone. Morgan has to wait until he crosses the line, which he has done. So he's timed it pretty well. And we see drifting already getting past Dave, flying past as the two RBs in formation. Lead us back into turn 1 then. Down the inside goes Dave on drifting. Drifting gives him all the room he needs. And that allows Morgan to now have a run at Dave round the outside. Then Jack, then Frosty. Carbro getting past the AI of Jack. Oren also in 9th. And wheel-to-wheel stuff still between Morgan and Dave. It's a good fight so far. Morgan with the medium compound tyres. Newer medium compound tyres. Gets the place, but Dave is still hanging it around the outside. Now Morgan's got the place as Dave ran a bit too wide. So it's Alpine 3 and 4. It's RB 1 and 2 like they are in the championship. And then Dave, then Jack, Frosty, Carbro, Oren, laser back into the top 10 in front of Chaz, who's ahead of Small Nick there, who may have made a mistake or something. Noah, Bluey, and Chubster as both Alpine swap. I think that was Morgan drifting, letting Morgan through, which is understandable as Dave still on the back as there's a whole fight behind. 3 wide nearly between Oren, Chaz, and Laser, who I think backed off there. Chaz around the outside, now in front of Oren. As Laser all over the back of the Aston Martin. Nick has caught these lot as Dave is all over the back of drifting, who's already 8 tenths behind Morgan now. It's a bit of a position game now, because they'll all have to pit again, the top 3. And the best person still looking good at the moment is Jack, because he's the lead hard runner of that stop under the safety car. Drifting versus Chubster. Not drifting. Noah versus Chubster. A little bit of contact. For P13. Look back to the front. No sends. No overtakes at the moment. Bit of contact between Laser and Chaz. Oren still all over the back of Carbro. And Laser runs into the back of Chaz there. Really needs to work on his braking. Not before he works on his mirrors, because there is slight contact between him. Well, slight. There's a lot of contact between him and Nick as they carry on wheel to wheel. And they're both not going to be happy with one another. But they've dropped down to 16th and 15th now. So Ferrari has damage. I believe the Mercedes may have got away with it as Morgan gets in front of Josh. Was that a mistake on the RB's part? Whatever the case, it's now made Morgan into the top 2. As going off in the background there, Chubster. Oren dropping down to 12th as Chaz stays in 9th. So now Morgan finds himself in 2nd. And now he finds himself closing on the race leader. The top 2 in the World Championship now go wheel to wheel. Morgan takes the lead into turn 1 and leads the Spanish Grand Prix in front of his closest rival. And those softs really not going to be helping the RBs, who are going to have to pit soon to maybe get back the undercut. But Morgan will be on quicker tyres towards the end. Kick me out of my party again. Anyway, Alpine, RB, and Alpine. Still the top 4 with Dave holding his own. Still yet to pit as well. As Oren versus Noah versus Nick. Nick does have damage. He's lost an end plate. Is going off there is Bluey. Another incident. Chubster 3 second for avoiding. And going off there is Oren. It's gone from bad to worse. After 2 brilliant weeks of winning, he now finds himself out the points as wheel-to-wheel stuff between Dave and Jack. Dave just getting his elbows out there as the space he left, I'm going to guess to him, wasn't enough. Jack just trying to hold on to the position, which he does now. Falls in front. Dave trying to switch back, but you can't really make an overtake in the last corner or so. Josh Hewitt now gets a 3-second time penalty. One of his biggest flaws from the last couple games carries over into this one. And Drifting now gets in front of Josh. These are crucial moves in the state of the championship between RB and Alpine. And at the moment, RB, who looked so good in the first few laps, and Alpine, who looked, quite frankly, really in the mud, have now turned it around. As Jack over 1 second now behind these guys. Dave just trying to hang on with the old tyres. Chaz and Carbro have some sort of collision. But Chaz now finds himself in 8th. And Oren, as Noah goes into the grass there, I believe that was on his own accord. So Oren really hasn't turned out for him since the restart. As Laser did pit. 1 second gap then. Morgan has already to Seb, and it's looked pretty good on the restart since. As Josh still trying to keep with Drifting. And what was an RB1-2. If Alpine could turn this into an Alpine 1-2 by the end, that would be brilliant for them. But RB are no stranger to fighting back. As is Josh Hewitt. Going down into turn 1. And it looks like he's going to get the place back. Into P3 he goes. As looking further behind, the Haas and the Mercedes make slight contact. They're going to go wheel to wheel. And Jack is going to leave Dave the space. Stays in front of him as Frosty watches this unfold in his, well, 101st race. But he's going to treat it as his 100th race in Tier 2. And he's going to treat this as maybe a potential chance to get in front of Dave. Which he is still alongside him and not got it done quite yet. He brakes later to go around the outside. Dave going to try and hang on in. Frosty with better momentum will now put his car in front. Slight contact still. Can Frosty get the place? He's still there as there's more yellows at the back. But Frosty has got the place. Quite a battle there, but it ended with Frosty in front. The Carbro, it was Carbro who caused the yellow, who's lost his right end plate. Sliding there is Seb. Looks like he's struggling on those softs. And the longer they both stay out, the worse for one of them, because they're going to have to do an extra lap. As Oren overtakes Nick. Josh maybe trying to slow down to give Drifting the place and then get the DRS back. But Seb is in. So Josh will pit this lap. He's got a bunch of cars behind him. And he might get done here by Drifting. And maybe even another car. But Josh blasting it all to stay in front. Laser Gamer giving up as he carries on. As Drifting loses out to Jack, who's all over the back of Josh now. So somehow Josh stayed in front of all these lot, but Drifting has actually lost a place to Jack. As down the inside into turn 4, Frosty's now going to try and get in front of Drifting as Josh goes wide. And they're going to remain wheel to wheel. Frosty once again breaks late around the outside, but that was way too late. As going off into the gravel there is Josh, and that is going to promote Jack into P2. And Drifting and Frosty are still wheel to wheel. And this time, unlike last lap, Frosty has to give in and stay behind for now. Josh losing a lot of time on those softs, who I'm sure are screaming. But yeah, look at that, 6.2 seconds, Morgan to Jack. But I'd still watch out for Jack, as he could definitely take those hards to the... Well, he has a better chance of taking those hards to the end than Morgan. And this will help Seb gain a heap of time in free air as Chaz and Dave swap. And Josh will now make his way into the pit lane. So Drifting is released. Has a bunch of battery to burn. But he is on 5-lap older hard compound tyres. And Dave also pitting along with Josh. These should be for the hards to go to the end. Yep. And yep. Right, no moves in the top 5, but second all the way down to 5th are fighting. Oren now in 6th, Chubbs to 7th, Smolnik 8th, Seb, after all that, down in 9th. And some of these guys in front aren't going to be pitting again, so he's going to have to make the most of it. He's gone soft medium, I've just realised as well. That's going to be interesting. 19 laps on mediums. I don't know what the tyre wear's like around here, but that's going to be quite the mission in general for Seb to gain ground and make those go to the end. I guess we can compare with Morgan, who's just extending his gap. Obviously, he's on better tyres, but he is in a pretty good stage at the moment. We're not even halfway done. We have a yellow, and it is Carbro, who's gone off there, but carries on. Dave now down in 13th. Bluey in front of Josh. That's just how much time he lost because of not pitting under the safety car. Noah back in the points after causing the safety car. Seb is going to closely gain on Nick as Jack and Drifting make slight contact into turn 2. Frosty having a little move, but can't quite get past. And Chaz is ready to pounce on any of these if they make any mistakes. Josh gets in front of Bluey. Easy move. Chubster and Nick still fighting. And he has to back out there just so he doesn't get turned in on. No swaps throughout these lot. Or is there as Chaz tries a little bit of a switch on Frosty but can't quite get in front. Chubster stays in front of Nick, who's still fighting around his outside. Breaks later. And will he try a switch back on the Sauber? Yes, he will. Will he make it stick, though? As they're going to remain wheel to wheel through the left right-hander. Nick to the inside. Gets the move done. But still with damage is hindering him. As Frosty gets in front of Drifting, who goes wide. And now it's Chaz v Drifting for the 3rd race in a row. As Chubster and Nick stay in front. And now going off. It's all happening as Frosty's gone off there. Into the gravel. Chaz round the outside of Drifting. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Chaz now into P3 in front of the Alpine, who has the DRS to fight back. Frosty makes a mistake into the pit lane, slowing right down. Don't need to slow down that much. Wheel to wheel between the Alpine and the Williams, Drifting back in front. As Nick did get in front of Chubston, so did Seb. And now Seb's going to get in front of Nick as well. Chubster's going to have the DRS, but he goes onto the grass there. So he has to stay behind. And he's, I don't know if that's lag or what, but yeah, Josh now in front of Noah. Noah sends it to the inside, and he manages to place his car perfectly, so there's no contact. That was brilliant from Noah, who goes a bit wide now, and Josh is going to have the inside to fight back at him. Dave watching this unfold. Carver gets a pen, and Noah hangs on. He doesn't care if it's the sister team, but Josh, once again, is going to have another opportunity. Noah once again breaks later. Josh will try the switchback as Noah runs very deep. And Josh gets the place as Drifting and Chaz fight again. And Chaz, this time on the inside, will try and get in front of Drifting, who backs off, probably wanting the DRS again. Chaz sliding out as he has hit the curb, unfortunately. Luckily gets no penalty, but that has really thrown a spanner to his race as Drifting will now have not DRS. Oh yeah, of course, he lost it before the detection. So Chaz lost about a second there. He'll probably gain back on Drifting. Really unfortunate, but that's the only instance I've seen so far in this race. As Carbo is lapped. Didn't even realise. Dave ran the outside of Noah, 4P10. Chubster back in front of Nick. Seb has left those guys. He's currently 21 seconds off the lead. So if Morgan was to pit again, he would be on much better rubber and chase Seb down. It's like Bahrain, but what we got is not what we got. And it could happen much later as, yeah, Carbo goes off there. And Noah, is also going off is Noah. Could have another safety car here. There's a couple of yellows on the track. Don't know how Noah's lost it there. Carbo carries on then. And so does Noah, so no safety car. Yeah. The fight where Morgan was going to chase down... Oh, hang on. Yeah, Noah's gone off again. And Noah's caused the second form of safety car in this race. And that helps Drifting because Morgan's past the pit lane. Noah's taking a piss a bit here now. No front wing. So yeah, this helps Drifting. Seb is in again. As is Chubster. And Nick. Whoa. Josh stays out. I don't know why Seb has pitted again. Only after 5 laps on mediums. But, there we go. There's the thing. No one's got a drive through. That's good. Seb's gone for another set of mediums. I don't know if I see the point in that. As Chaz and... Oh, God. Someone spun. Carbro. Chaz in front of Jack now. Chaz has really upped the ante. As he's caught up to Jack, who may have just had a really bad VSC restart, to be fair. Noah's out. Another VSC. As that's going to help Morgan into the pit lane then. This VSC by Noah. All three forms of safety car have been caused by him. And that has helped Noah a bunch. And I'm sure Chaz... Never mind. So if Chaz can nurture those mediums more, same with Jack. Where will Morgan come out in respect to them behind? Jack right on the back of Chaz, ready to pounce back. Nearly hitting him, but yeah, Morgan returns in P3. Very much clear of Seb. As I don't know what Bluey and Carbro are doing. Depends when the VSC ends, though. Jack all over the back of Chaz. And Seb gets a drive-through! The championship leader. It's gone from bad to worse. Wait, no. Oh, he's serving his drive-through. I was going to say, where's it gone? And that has really... it's all gone on 180. RB were 1 and 2. Now they're 9th and 11th. As Carbo retires. It's probably a good thing for this race. Sliding out is Chaz. But he's still now in the lead. So Morgan then, in third, will definitely try and close the gap to these two. And like I said, penalties aren't really going to be a thing for this race to decide stuff. Pluie is 7th at the moment. Dave, 6th on his debut still, drifting into the gravel there a little bit, unfortunately. But yeah, Alpine currently taking a heap of points compared to RB. It's gone literally 180. Frosty, I don't even know what's happened there. Anyway, freaky. Frosty versus Chaz for the lead at the moment. And Morgan's already taken a second out of these lot. His plan will be overtake them, pull away. Not overtake them and them stick with. 13 laps to go. Bluey 3 second now. Under pressure from Chubster. Drops down to 8th. Struggling with that last corner, I'm going to guess then. But yeah, Seb. It's a bit similar to Imola. It's all just gone a bit wrong. Pitted after 5 laps on mediums. Didn't really see the point in that. And then got another drive through under VSC. That's both RBs who have had that in the last week. But yeah, Chaz leading the Spanish Grand Prix. Not for the first time in his career. As he also is closing in on 100 Tier 2 races. This being, what, his 97th? And he is currently leading. Jack blasting a bunch of battery, just trying to keep with. So Chaz showing that he has good race pace. 14 laps on those mediums. Still with 12 laps to go. That is going to be a mighty effort as Josh gets in front of Bluey. And I really don't see why Chaz and Frost... Well, maybe Chaz didn't pit under that VSC. I can see why Jack might want to take those to the end, but that's still a lot of laps. Same with Oren. Because if these three did decide to pit, the podium would be Morgan, Drifting, and Dave. Which would be crazy on debut for him. But he's showing a lot of good promise and potential. As Nick now drops Bluey down to 10th. And Seb with the fastest lap will be hoping to at least gain a point. So yeah, we lost Laser Gamer after a few incidents he was involved in, and unfortunately he retired on track. Noah, he's caused all the safety cars today. 1 safety car, 2 VSCs, which has really favoured the RBs. Really faulted the RBs, as Chaz is in. And we lost Carbo as well just recently in a few laps. So Chaz in then. Can't take those tyres all the way. Morgan has already gained nearly within a second of Jack. Seb has already taken 2 seconds out of Bluey this lap. And we will see where Chaz comes out then on the soft compound tyres for the final third of this race. He's going to be hunting down Drifting. But his tyres aren't too old either. So Chaz will emerge in 5th. Dave will see him. Heading into turn 1 there. So now it's up to Chaz to gain, as Morgan is already on the back of Jack. And will he choose to overtake him in the next DRS straight, or will he wait until the main straight? He's got quite a lot of time to think it over. And he's going to stay behind as Jack goes defensive, and Morgan, yeah, he's going to wait until the DRS straight. Or will he with the switchback? Jack loses it into Morgan there, as Jack all under sorts of pressure. This is really Morgan's last opponent in this race before he can just carry on for the rest. And he just has to make sure, like we saw on that exit, he doesn't make contact, and it doesn't even matter. Jack is in to the pits, and Morgan is once again free in the last 10 laps. Jack in then. Oren gets promoted to second. Is he really going to go the whole way? Or is he going to pit on the next lap? Jack in for the mediums. And he's going to come out behind Chaz. Chubbs has got a few cars behind him. Josh arriving on the scene now. Jack emerges in between Chaz and Dave. So, well, this is the kind of result Oren and Morgan would want, with first in the championship being down in 11th, about to be 10th now, scoring 1 point now, with second and third in the standings being first and second. This would really reduce the gap, and at least in Morgan's sake it would, but as for Oren, it's really going to be nip and tuck to see whether he's going to make it to the end. Even after 9 laps, even after a safety car in those 9 laps, the RBs were on the softs and those looked like they were falling off. So I really don't know about Chaz pitting onto the softs, but he might make it work. Bluey, another penalty. Oh yeah, so technically we have 12 left because Josh is not in the race. He left in qualifying, never decided to join back. Apparently he had like I don't know. I think it's a valid reason. But anyway, yeah, Morgan, 7.1 seconds in front of Oren, who's been on those tyres for 18 laps. 5.6 in front of Drifting. Yeah, RB, as Nick gets in front of Chubster. Alpine have turned 2nd and 9th into what could be potentially a 1-2, or definitely a double podium. And RB have turned 1st and 3rd to 7th and 10th. That just shows how much it can change in EXFL Tier 2. How much one race could make an impact. And I really don't know what was the right strategy to be on this race. It's had a lot of it. You thought at one stage this guy was going to have to chase him down for the win. This guy by pitting was going to win, then it wasn't. But through it all, like it was last season, Morgan has picked the right strategy in the dry to succeed. It may have not come his way last time out in Canada in the wet, where he pitted onto the wets, and it just never came to him and he lost out. But this time round, he's had the confidence back in. And yeah, it's a 5-second gap between 3rd to 4th to 5th, well, and 2nd. And they're all just a bit separated now. Closest battle is between Chubster and Nick. They've been going at it for quite a few laps. Chubster not close enough at the moment, but now he is. But he doesn't decide to go for a move as Frosty now gets a time penalty. Alright, 8 and a bit laps to go. There could still be a safety car, which would put a lot of things back in order. As I'm sure they would all like to pit onto softs at the end, but then again I'm realising the 2 RBs who went medium, soft in qualifying, who saved a set of softs, they used those in the first stint. So if there was to be a safety car, the RBs would have to pit onto mediums again, which I think they've still used as well, so the RBs are kind of out of options, literally. Nick under pressure from Chubster. Chaz has gained 1.2 seconds on Drifting. If we look at fastest laps. Goes to Seb by about 800ths. Morgan and Josh in the mix there too in the 14s. Everyone else 15 plus. Drifting taking a few tenths out of Oren, but nothing major. And Jack's just pulling even further behind. But he's pulling away from Dave. As Josh is trying to close the gap, he's got to, first of all, catch Dave, overtake him, and then get a 3-second gap. Because at this rate, Nick will beat him. And Seb needs to get within 3 seconds of Chubster, which I'm sure he can do, to get 9th. But apart from that, I really don't see how he's going to get another place. So it'll be 2 points for Seb. It'll be the full 25 for Morgan, which will gain 23 points. It was a 41-point lead before today, as Jack now gets a 3-second in 5th, but that's not going to really change much. Chaz now gets it down to 3 seconds. Drifting now gets it down to 4 seconds to Oren, who looks like he really is going to take it all the way. And he's going to do, what, 27 laps on hards? Yeah, crazy from Oren, if he can make this work. They're all closing in on one another, our 2nd, 3rd and 4th. But yeah, 23 points gained from Morgan, who goes onto the grass there a little bit, as he's coming up to lap the AI of Josh, so that shouldn't be an issue. As Frosty now gets a 2nd pen. 23 points gained from 41 will bring it down to 18 points between Morgan and Seb. Seb, who has looked very comfortable in the championship for quite a few races, has got it over a win for quite a few. Now it's going to be back under at this stage. Yeah, it will be P9 at the moment for Seb. Josh 1.2 now to Dave. Chaz 3 seconds. Drifting is taking a lot of time as we see Chaz go off there. Drifting's taking a lot of time to Oren. And if he keeps going at this pace, he will catch him before the Grand Prix meets its end. Nine laps on the mediums. Same with his teammate. The Alpines have played it perfectly. The Alpines 1-1-2 in Spain. And yeah, this would be Drifting's 3rd podium, I believe. I know Morgan said he wants to give Drifting a win this season, if he can. But at this stage, I think he'll be more focused on winning and gaining on Seb. As Morgan laps the AI. Oh no, Drifting has 3 podiums. So this would be his 4th. Oh, Drifting's finished on the podium in the last 2 races. So, wow, 3 podiums in a row for Drifting. Becoming the Mr. Consistent at the moment. But he's actually lost a bit of time to Oren. And Chaz has gained quite a bit of time. So, the podium brawl between Chaz and Drifting that happened in Canada, where Drifting managed to get it as Chaz had a penalty and couldn't get it removed. Chaz looking for round 2 as he slides there. Yeah, Chaz looking to get it back as Josh trying to get in front of Dave now. 4P6 goes right around his outside, gets the place. Dave might still be able to come back at him with the DRS. As Seb also looking to get the DRS on Chubster as he goes around the outside, but will stay behind to hit the detection. 1.9 now between Chaz and Drifting. Dave gets back in front of Josh. And I'm sure Seb will get in front of Chubster. I'm sure Drifting will start to see him in his mirrors. Oren doing brilliant to hang on to those tyres. Who will now be able to do interviews as well, hopefully, which is great. And Josh, there's not really anything in front of him that he can gain within 4 laps. I don't think, anyway. So it might just be best to sit behind and wait for the DRS. But I'm sure Josh will want to get the move done as soon as possible. And Seb, he might have a chance to gain on Nick. Looks like Josh is staying behind for now. 2.8, gap's going down, but Chaz is also keeping Drifting on his toes. Josh literally pushing that Haas through some corners, But this time round, he's going to get the DRS. But I'm sure Dave will be ready with 70% battery compared to Josh's 50 as he goes off there. And it's another time penalty, which could drop him behind his teammate and give him an extra 2 points. So I'm sure Dave won't put up much of a fight now with Josh having 6 seconds of pens, but he still braves it out. Doesn't really leave Josh a lot of room there. And they make slight contact, don't connect luckily, and Josh is in front. But this will still make Dave in front as well as Nick, and Seb might just, I think at the moment he will, get his teammate 4P8, so that'll be 21 points, which will make the gap 20 points in the championship. And Oren is actually gaining on Morgan. Chaz 1.5, and they'll have 3 to go. He might have one look right at the very end, but those softs are falling away. Another slide out of that corner for the Williams. Lap 31 then. And that AI of Dave, these two are going to catch. It's going to help one of them probably, but which one? Dave sticking with the DRS of Josh, who's just going to have to try his best to pull away now. If we look to the leader and add 6 seconds to Josh, 33. At the moment, Seb's 32. As long as Seb doesn't also get a pen. Dave gaining on Josh, but he's not close enough. For a move, he just has to stick within 6 seconds, really. As we have a yellow, we don't have enough time for a safety car, but that is Frosty who's gone off again. Another race to forget for him, unfortunately. A joint 100th Grand Prix, as he gets lapped by Morgan there, so at least he doesn't have to do one more lap. Drifting has caught Josh there, but Chaz is within the DRS now. And this is going to go down to the wire, as Frosty unfortunately retires there, crashes out. But yeah, Chaz with 60% battery and Drifting with 50. They each got plenty to use, but now Chaz is within the DRS as we start the penultimate lap. And this time round in one lap, Chaz is going to have a run on the Alpine. Oren, 4.3. What the hell? 4.3. As he's gaining a lot of time on Morgan, who might just be saving to go for fastest lap at the end. I'm not too sure. But yeah, he's really closed the gap as Drifting is going to try his best to hold on to P3, get his 4th podium to Chaz, who's been consistently in the points since he started racing this season. And I'm sure he'll be wanting to get another as Dave and Josh fight again. Josh round the outside and spins! And I'm pretty sure there was enough space between him and Dave. But again, unfortunately, 3rd race, Josh Hewitt. It's not the right one for him. And that will promote Bluey into the points. For a 3rd time this season, Bluey will be getting a point. As Chubbs will be P9, Bluey will be P10. Morgan has increased the gap now to Oren, who's still trying to hang on, who's done miraculously, or is going to do, 27 laps on hards. But now, Morgan starts the final lap of the Spanish Grand Prix. Oren round the final corner in P2. Drifting versus Chaz for P3. Here we go then. Chaz blasting all his battery. Drifting's got nothing left. Chaz goes to the inside. It's the podium for the Williams on the final lap of the Spanish Grand Prix. Chaz has been waiting. Drifting has been deploying. And it's ended up with the Williams in front of the Alpine. And Drifting with not enough battery. Chaz with plenty to hold on to the podium. And maybe another lap or so they could have catched Oren. It's 1.3. Never say never, but Chaz has been driving well. Up to brilliantly at times this race. Unfortunately, he had that bump. He's the only driver so far I've seen who hit that, to be fair. So it's been a pretty safe race. But yeah, great from Chaz to get onto the podium. And I'm sure he'll be happy for the interviews. Oren has miraculously held those tyres together to hold up a P2. But all eyes on Morgan. He won last season with a brilliant strategy. And he's going to win back-to-back this season at Spain. It's his best track for a reason. He comes around the final corner of the Alpine to make his championship charge that ever bit more sweeter. Morgan wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Oren will come home for a brilliant P2. Chaz gets P3 and the podium that he wanted, drifting P4. Jack will come home for a top 5 finish. Seb gets a penalty. I don't think that'll matter, as Small Nick has caught Dave in another lap. He may have got him. But Dave, on debut, will come home for P6. A great amount of points for the Haas driver. Small Nick P7. Seb, it's just like Imola. It's P8 for the RB. Chubster will get his first points, I believe. And Bluey will get another points finish. He said before the race he's hoping for another, and he's going to get it. With only technically 10 people, but fair. It's happened again. Well done to Bluey. Yeah. Oh, Aaron's got the DNF glitch. Who got fastest lap? Seb. Oh, Seb got fastest lap, so it'll be 21 points. As Bluey comes around the final corner, it's P10 for the Williams driver. A Williams on the podium as well. So 5 points, 25, 20. Okay, so Seb has a 21-point lead. There we have it. What a very crazy race. Not as long of a race director this time round, but still the odd penalties here and there. Right. Right, Morgan, Oren, Chaz. Right, we have second and third joining the pie and leaving the pie. Just wait for Morgan to join as well. There we go, Oren's back.
Wait, hello?
Hello, mate.
Oh, wait, hi.
Just waiting for Morgan, and then we'll get the interviews underway.
Right, yep.
Right, we may as well start. Right, we'll start off with P3. Chaz, are you there, mate?
Yes.
Hello, mate.
I have the option to include my audio now.
It doesn't matter. P3, you're back on the podium. What a race.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I don't even know what to say, man. It's a bit of a...
You were the only person that race who unfortunately got done by that curb. But
Yeah.
luckily it wasn't a big one.
I'm very thankful that I didn't go off track and just slow me down a bit.
Yeah. Right, so you qualified 5th, 6th? 6th, I think.
6, yeah.
Made a decent start. We're in the fight. Played your battery very well at the end. Strategy-wise too. Just take us through your race. How was it?
It had a bit of everything, really. I mean, I was doing good at the start. I mean, I had the safety car came out early, and I decided to make the choice to to another set of mediums because I had a lovely strategist in the party, Lojovic.
Hmm.
He told me instead of going long on my set, it'd be better to do a two stop, and it worked. So yeah.
Did
So I
you?
ended up down in like
Sorry, did you not want to pit under any of those VSCs that came out?
I did think about it, but I knew that I'd have to pit onto another set. I knew if I pit under the VSCs, I'd have to go to hards because I had two mediums.
Ah, I
So
see. I
it
see.
just wasn't worth it in my eyes.
That's fair. Because you were in a bit of a fight with Jack. You had great pace when you were in fifth behind three cars, and then you suddenly, within a few laps, were in front of them all for P2, and then Morgan obviously pitted, so you were leading a couple laps. And then at the end, you pit for softs. You had, again, brilliant pace to hunt down drifting. You both had similar battery levels with about a lap and a bit to go. But then within the penultimate, drifting had used all of his, and then I'm guessing it was just smooth sailing in the last lap to get him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened because I noticed as just before I went for the overtake down the straight, the tyre symbol had come up, but it didn't feel like that. My tyres felt absolutely brilliant,
Fair
so
enough.
I would have ended up on just over 60% at the end.
Anyway, you got your podium. You're closing in on being the third Centurion in EXFL Tier 2. You've taken quite a few points out of Seb as well to gain on the championship leader, so that's 10 points. Next up is what's after Spain? Austria, I think. Austria,
Oh,
where you got your first win.
yeah,
How are you feeling about there?
I absolutely hate that track.
Fair, I don't blame you. But you've done pretty well. I think your first race this season was Imola, I think.
Yeah,
So in the three races you've done, you've been driving very well, and hopefully it's on the up for you. So yeah, very well done.
I mean it is. It certainly looks like it. I ninth in the first race, then fourth, and now third. So hopefully that starts on it.
Exactly. Right, on to P2. Oren, you there, mate?
Yeah.
I'll just invite Kira again. I don't know why he's joining. Right, Oren. Well, that was a bit of a race of two halves. The first half, everything was going wrong.
Yeah.
And then the second half, you thought, screw it, let me just do about 90% on one tyre.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, what were they on at the end, like percentage-wise?
50, 60.
Jesus.
Can't remember, but they were getting pretty bad towards the end.
So to take us through the race, you qualified fifth?
Fifth, I think.
Fifth,
Yeah.
right.
So, qualifying was pretty bad. I only got to do one proper lap at the end when it was kind of raining. But in the race, lap one, I went from fifth to last, and then from there, basically the first chance I got to pit, I just went onto the hards, and I thought I'd just try to go to the end, which I'd done. They did get quite bad, but they still survived. On I think it was the second last lap, my mic disconnected and I couldn't hear anything audio wise, so I had no idea if I was
Is that why you
leaving
went into the
or
grass?
yeah, I
Oh.
was fix my mic.
Oh my god.
So I couldn't hear anything, which I wouldn't have minded if the tires were newer, but because the tires were so old, I was kind of worried I was gonna like accidentally spin, just not knowing my revs and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a good result for all the bad things that happened. But yeah,
Yeah, you were going into the gravel here and there in like turn 4 and 5 at the start.
yeah,
Pitted under the safety car for hards, went right to the end, hung on because it one more lap, and I think this guy in the party would have probably caught you. But
yeah.
somehow managed to finish P2. So you've also gained quite a few points on Seb, 13, and you were 47 behind. So you're only now 34 points off him. As Morgan, I think, is 21. He's not joining the interviews, by the way. He's got like a toothache or something. So we'll see him next time out in Austria. But yeah, how are you feeling for Austria?
Not one of my strongest tracks, to be honest. I don't really like it on this game. I've not done a lot of it on this game, but
Fair.
I don't think it'll be too bad if the race just kind of goes well.
Yep. I hope everyone enjoyed this race as well, because the last 2 weeks were penalty infested. Today wasn't as bad. Next week is going to be awful in terms of penalties.
Oh, yeah, genuinely, I loved it. I could drive without
Exactly, yeah.
going off track.
The only areas,
Warnings at the end there.
Exeter 2, maybe that long, quick
flat right, and then the final corner was actually catching a few people out.
Where's the? No, I got two warnings. I don't know what the corner number is, but the second DRS straight, the uphill
Oh,
right
right.
after that is where I got both my warnings on the outside.
Uphill before you activate the DRS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the corner I was on about, the flat right. Well, it's not really
Yeah.
flat in the race, but yeah, that corner too. I saw you go off a few times. Did you get a warning, by the way, when that bump hit you, or when you returned on track?
I mean, the first one I went straight back on. Second one I tried to go down the curb a little bit before returning, but they both gave me warnings. So.
All right. Anyway, congratulations on the podium, both of you, and well done on the win for Morgan. That was a real shake-up and a very enjoyable race to watch. But yeah, we will see you next time out in Austria.